WWE 2K24's DLC just got pretty interesting.
Pretty good.
Obviously, the biggest conversation right now is the return of CM Punk to the WWE. We just had his promo on Raw. He's back home. He's not here to make friends. He's here to make money. Well, the one way 2K can make a lot of money and capitalize on this is adding CM Punk to the 2K24 DLC. Now, I know what you're saying. Why wouldn't you just say he's going to be in the base game? There's lots of time. I understand that. I want him in the base game, but if you're 2K, you want to maximize and you're going to squeeze as much money as you can out of people like me. And what you're going to do is you're going to add him in as a future DLC. It's very, very likely that Punk would be added as DLC for the next game. CM Punk returned at Survivor Series. We have all of this time now up until about the Royal Rumble in January for 2K to capture CM Punk, his moveset, his likeness, his motion, his Titantron, his music. We'll talk about that in a second too, but they have a lot of time to be able to get all of this figured out. We have seen late additions in years past, and this gives them just enough time to insert him. You could put him in as day one DLC, but he could be totally done. CM Punk's return is the most viewed thing on social media for WWE. Combined across all their platforms, it's the highest viewed video on YouTube. Their social media exploded with this. If you're 2K, you're making a bad decision by not putting him in the next game. But what about his theme song? CM Punk came back to Cult of Personality, and it's awesome to hear that back on Monday Night Raw, but he came back with the updated remix version of that track. I like the original. The remix is actually pretty good. There's only slight differences with it. This could be just simply a contract issue with Punk and AEW and Tony Khan grabbing all of the music that he can, and so they went with this version. What would it mean in the next game if Punk is in it? Well, it would probably mean that it is locked to CM Punk's character specifically. We saw this with Cody Rhodes in 23, where you could not use Cody's theme song for anybody else in the game, and you couldn't even select it in the jukebox. We had this also with Ronda Rousey. Bad Reputation's licensed song, and we couldn't use that in any of the previous year's games. So if we do get Punk and we do get Cult of Personality, I got a feeling that it won't be available to use with any other wrestler in the game, and it won't be available in the jukebox. But let me know your thoughts. Does that matter to you? For me, it's okay. I mean, I love to be able to play with all the music that's in the game, but hey, if it means that I get CM Punk and I can play that tune, I'm pretty happy. But there's a lot more possibilities when it comes to next year's DLC. There were a couple of returns this year, a couple of debuts, legends. There's a lot going on. One of the big ones that I'm really excited for is Kairi Sane. Now, with Kairi Sane just returning over a month ago with WWE, once again, lots of time to be able to get her in the game. She's been in years past, but she has a brand new gimmick, a brand new look, and so 2K needs to get that captured. Would she be DLC? That's the question I have for you. I think it makes total sense that they put her in as a DLC option. It depends if 2K has already lined up a lot of the DLC slots earlier on. They may just add her in part of the base game. You may be thinking, well, she's just been in the game in the past years. Why make her a DLC? It's all about money, ladies and gentlemen. 2K is going to want to make those extra bucks, and you can definitely do that with the brand new damage control version of Kairi Sane. The other roster addition we saw, the return earlier this year, was Carlito, and Carlito has been with WWE now for several months from the time he signed. So Carlito, for all intents and purposes, should be in 2K24 without question. The only question mark would be base game or DLC. I think Carlito is perfect slot for DLC. Give him an additional LWO shirt, you're off and rolling. But what about NXT? Because with 2K23, NXT played a big part in the DLC, and I kind of predict that happening again this year with 24. It's a way for 2K to round out the content on a yearly basis. Is it what I want? Not really. I want to see way more legends added into the game and have those NXT stars just put into the base game, because it ends up feeling like a little bit off balance, and that was my impression of 23's DLC, where it felt like there's a lot of NXT in here and not a lot of legends, and it felt a little bit off balance. But NXT stars that I think could make their way into DLC, number one, Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee had a very short stint in NXT and now has become part of the main roster on SmackDown. He's wildly popular. WWE loves him. They feature him a ton right now. And I think that's somebody you're really going to want to be able to put into a DLC pack. The other NXT star that has recently signed with WWE, gotten on TV, he's doing some fun kooky things. Lexis King, Brian Pillman Jr. Now, I thought it would take a lot longer for Pillman Jr. to get onto TV, but they've thrusted him right there into NXT. So because he's already made his debut, we have the new gimmick of Lexis King. That is somebody that I totally peg for DLC. And of course, the other recent signing that happened just a few months ago, still waiting for the debut, Jade Cargill. Now, my early prediction is Jade is going to make her debut at the Royal Rumble. Coming in, she might even win the whole thing. But Triple H said in the Survivor Series press conference when it came to Jade Cargill that they're just kind of working things out and making sure that she's all set for her debut, that she has all the skills and all the tools, and she feels like she is absolutely ready to go. Because Jade has now been signed with WWE for several months, it's very likely that they have scanned her completely for the game. We just haven't seen her come out and debut with the theme song Titantron in motion. So because the scans are all done, she could be a very late addition in a DLC pack. So what I mean is we could see Jade in like that August DLC if she doesn't show up until like the Royal Rumble. It'll be a huge misstep if they don't get Jade in the game at all. WWE is promoting her as a big deal, as they should, and so we should be seeing her in DLC, but because she has not debuted yet, I kind of feel like scans would be done already. They got her in there, maybe some of her moves, but that they would wait until maybe the July or August timeframe to show her off as part of DLC. Gives them enough time to get it all done. But what about Legends when it comes to DLC? For that, I really think that the Dudley Boys are going to be in the next game. The Dudley Boys signed a recent Legends contract coming back to WWE. Haven't seen them on TV at all, but months and months ago, they did re-sign with the company. And we did find out that they were going to be added into WWE Supercard. So because they're already in Supercard, it's very likely we get the Dudley Boys in the next year's game. I love that. I love the throwback to the tag teams, to ECW. It's a great addition to the game if they're going to be in there. And because it's been like half a year since the Dudleys signed, they're a great act to be able to anchor a DLC pack. If the DLC is going to be 5 wrestlers in a pack, you already got 2 filled there with the Dudley Boys. It's a great addition. And if they want to get a updated version or look of the Dudley Boys, they could obviously have already scanned them, but they already have the motions in there even in 2K23. So there's a lot of copy and paste there that they can utilize. And we mentioned Supercard, there have been other additions to Supercard in the likes of Sandman and Bam Bam Bigelow. Now, because we are seeing them in Supercard, they have a relationship and they have signed with WWE. It would be really, really cool to be able to get not only Sandman to round out more of the legends on the ECW side, maybe add them in with the Dudley Boys into that pack, but also being able to get Bam Bam Bigelow. We haven't seen Bam Bam since 2K19. I love Bam Bam Bigelow. He's got a massive career when it goes across all companies, and it's somebody they definitely need to be able to bring back. But the other final roster additions that we might see in terms of DLC could be Terry Funk. Terry Funk passed away, but has been more associated with WWE. To honor Terry Funk and his legacy, it would be a really great move by WWE to include him in the next game. It's been several years and we only had a couple appearances of Terry Funk in the WWE games over the years. And that's where I see kind of like a hardcore ECW pack coming together, where you have the likes of Terry Funk, the Dudleys, Sandman, all included in there. But what about who might not be in 2K24? Not as DLC, but just in the game as a whole. It struck me the other day. I was going through the roster, the current active roster for WWE, and as I looked through, Mr. McMahon is still listed there as part of the roster. Now, there's a difference between Vince McMahon and Mr. McMahon, the character within WWE. Vince is still on the board of directors doing all the TKO stuff, and it's a wild situation over there. But when it comes to the video game, there's a very good chance that Mr. McMahon is still going to be part of the 2K game. But Stephanie McMahon and Shane McMahon are not listed anywhere. Now, we did get Shane McMahon at WrestleMania blowing out his quads in the whole showdown with The Miz and Snoop Dogg, and it was absolutely atrocious. He showed up at the Royal Rumble the year prior. So Shane has had these little drops where he's popped in, but on WWE's roster pages, he's not listed anywhere. And by all intents and purposes, Shane is not with the company. Could he still be under a WWE Legends deal of some sort? Maybe, but it might be one of the first games we don't get Shane McMahon. And likewise, Stephanie McMahon isn't listed anywhere, and obviously she is not with WWE anymore and hasn't been for the past year. So once again, because Stephanie is not associated with WWE anymore, she resigned, she's gone, that's 2 of the McMahons that we might not get in the game, and we've had them for as long as I can remember in the WWE games. Maybe those roster omissions don't really matter. Go into creations and get yourself a Shane McMahon or a Stephanie McMahon. But I gotta know what you think about 2K24's DLC possibilities. And if CM Punk is going to be in 2K24, how are they gonna put him in there? Pre-order bonus, the base game, DLC, or a standalone option? We talk about all of that in this video, so click right here. You don't wanna miss it. See ya.